Yeah, well, you touched on that Ethan Nwaneri injury there, so let's talk a bit about that. I think, he came off at half time at the Amex. I think at the time we all thought he got that yellow card for time
Mm.
wasting right at the end of the half. We thought, Arteta doesn't want another Declan Rice repeat against Brighton, just, no red cards, have it, hopefully finish 11v11. But then he confirmed straight afterwards that Ethan was injured. Now, like you say, out for a few weeks, so they could be missing about, I think, 10 or 11 games. He might, obviously, Spurs will come too soon. The Newcastle game tonight, Man City next month's looking tied for that as well. So, already you've got Bukayo Saka, Raheem Sterling sideline. There's hope that Sterling will be back soon, but that's three wingers out at the moment. So it's a big blow for Arsenal, but also a big blow for Ethan because he did really well in those starts against Brentford and Brighton. So setback for him as well as Arsenal.
Yeah, it's a big setback for him. And Mikel said in his press conference yesterday it was a bit of a learning curve for him, and it is. It's the thing with when you're playing or kind of forced to play these 17-year-olds that it's an awful lot in their body, isn't it? There's been lots of calls for Arsenal to be playing Ethan Nwaneri more and for Arteta to be using him more. But you got to remember he is a 17-year-old kid. His body's still growing and all that. And then, he starts two games in a row and now picks up an injury. So you can understand why Arteta's been trying to manage him pretty carefully, I think. But it is a big blow to him, no doubt about it. He'll be absolutely gutted. Well, Mikel said he was gutted. But, it's a semi-final of the Carabao Cup tonight against Newcastle. And no one's done more in this competition this season for Arsenal than Ethan Nwaneri, really, to help get them to this stage. And now he's looks like he's probably going to miss definitely the first leg, but maybe even the second leg as well. So that's a real blow to him, missing a really huge occasion. I think he would have started tonight as well. Like you said, there's a North London derby coming up. He came on at the Spurs earlier on in the season. He had a chance of potentially starting the North London derby next week, which would have been a huge moment for a 17-year-old boy having come through the academy. He's going to have to sit there and watch that now. So he's going to be absolutely devastated at this injury. So it's a blow to him, but you're right, it's a blow to Arsenal as well. They've basically got Martinelli, Trossard, and Havertz and Jesus now, and that's it to sort of last them. We don't know when Sterling's going to come back. Even when Sterling does come back, he's not really shown us anything to suggest he's going to make a massive impact on the team. So Mikel Arteta's squad is stretched to the limits when it comes to the attackers. We're in January. You can go out and solve that or try and solve it. And with my Arsenal hat on, I absolutely think they should because I'm just not sure they've got enough to get them through this second half of the season with what they got in the squad. I really feel like it's very, very important they get into the market and find themselves something that's going to help them, not just now, but for the future.
Yeah, you mentioned there how Arteta's been so cautious to, he's happy to start Ethan Ranieri in the cup games, but he was really hesitant to throw him in the Premier League, saying, like you said, he's just a 17-year-old kid. You have to really manage that development. So, I originally thought he might have been dropped for the Brighton game, dropped to the bench because, starting two games in quick succession, but then Mikel revealed that Martinelli had some issues, so didn't really have a choice there. You talked about how Arsenal might manage with Nwaneri and Saka and Sterling out? Do you think it will be, if Martinelli, assuming he came off, I think, did he come off the bench against Brighton? I think so. And then it's only really like him and Jesus, and Mikel has said that Havertz can play on the right. So could you see that being a potential avenue to explore, or do you think it will just be Martinelli and Jesus and maybe even moving Trossard over?
Yeah, I'm not sure. The thought of Kai Havertz on the right wing does not fill me with much joy, I have to say. I love Kai Havertz. I think he's been brilliant since the move to move him up front for Arsenal, but I don't really see him as a right winger for me. I think if you're looking at the options that Arsenal still have available, obviously Gabriel Martinelli, I think will probably start tonight there. I do like Gabriel Jesus over on the right hand side. He played there a lot for Manchester City. He's played there for Arsenal. He can do it and he can do it well. Um, and once Havertz gets himself 100% fit, maybe you can do that and you can rotate in that way. You can have Havertz as a striker and move Jesus to the right, and that can allow you to rest Martinelli or leave someone on the bench. Because at the moment, Arsenal basically have got everyone starting, and there's very little left on the bench for them. So it would be very nice to have a couple of options that you could leave on the bench. But yeah, Havertz on the right, not for me. I think left eight, he can play that role. Right eight, he can play that role. But yeah, it's right wing. I think that's just a step too far for me.